Hello, today we're going to be doing a foundational movement class focusing on the neutral orientation of the hips. And we're going to get started today on our backs. So if everybody could find a spot on the floor, we're going to take one hand to our chest and one hand to our belly. And I want you to soften your gaze and start to follow that rhythm of your breathing. We're not going to change it right now. For this first couple breaths, we're just going to follow the rhythm, find that rhythm. Notice how your chest rises and falls with each inhale and exhale. Start to let your thoughts drift away. And for this hour, just focus on your breath. Focus on your body. Focus on what's happening on your mat. Let your legs relax. As we're focusing on our breath, I want you to start to notice if your breath catches anywhere, meaning it stops, gets hung up, anything like that. Just notice it, don't try to change it. We're going to start to bring our breath through our nose. Both our inhale and our exhale coming through our nose, cleansing the nasal passages as we take it down into our lungs. And letting it all back out. I want you to start putting your focus on where your chest is rising and falling with each breath. We're going to start to move that breath down deeper into our belly. So with each inhale, try to take it down a little deeper than the breath before. And each exhale, try to let all the air back out. And as we continue with that deep inhale and exhale down into our belly, we're going to release our hands down to our mat. And bring our feet to our mat, close to our hips. We're going to start to move through a flowing bridge, lifting with our inhale and lowering our hips with our exhale. Just starting to bring movement to our spine. As we settle our hips down this last time, we're going to take our knees and just move them side to side, starting to bring movement into the hips and that lower spine. And start to bring your knees into your chest. Start by rocking side to side. And then start to rock forward and back. Working your way all the way up to a seated position. Once we have our seated position, we're going to extend both legs out straight in front of us. And we're going to take out any extra sunshine out from underneath us. Pull our toes back towards us and sit up as tall as we can. Start to stack that spine on top of the hips. And extend your arms out in front of you. We're going to take a big inhale here. And on our exhale, we're going to bend at the hips, reaching our arms forward towards those toes. Trying to keep that spine long, keep that head neutral. And extend yourself back up. Release your arms down and take a big inhale, reach your arms up. And on your exhale, forward fold, reach for those toes. Release your head down, shake it out. Just release the tension in your neck. Reach for your calves, your shins, maybe your toes, wherever it is you might be. You can always use a strap around the bottom of your feet to extend your arms just a little bit longer. Or maybe you need to place a block behind your feet to give your arms more room to stretch. And slowly roll yourself all the way back up to seated. We're going to come over onto our hands and knees. Placing our knees underneath our hips, our toes back behind our legs so we cannot see them, and our hands spread wide on the mat directly under our shoulders. We're going to start to move through our cat and cow. Inhaling to drop the belly, lifting the chin. Exhaling to curl up and tuck in that belly and chin. Finding that rhythm and wave of our breath again. Using those deep inhales and exhales to guide the movement as we flow from cat to cow. This last breath, let's take it back to a neutral position. We're going to extend our right arm out in front of us. We're going to press our left foot back towards that back wall. Extending through the spine from fingertip to heel, flexing that back foot. Finding that first balance here. Creating a line of energy from heel to fingertips. And slowly return back to your mat. Extend your left arm out in front of you and push that right foot back. And slowly return back to your mat and sink back into your child's pose. Keeping your knees either close together or spreading them out wide, getting a little bit more open through the hips and lower back. Pressing our chest towards that mat. Pushing the hips down towards the heels. by our chest. We're gonna lift back up to those hands and knees. And walk our hands out in front of us. We're gonna come into puppy, pressing the chest towards the mat, keeping the hips high, stretching through that back. And slowly bring yourself all the way back up to your hands and knees. We're gonna pull that right leg all the way forward between our foot, or between our hands. And start to walk it forward so that it's at the front of your mat, and start to press that back hip down towards the mat. Keep our left hand either down on the mat or on our block. We're going to bring our right hand to our hip and start to rotate open to the right side. Now if you have enough space here and you want to extend that arm up, feel free to do so here. Work on that rotation through the lower spine and chest. Back to center, and we're going to sink back into our heel, bringing those front toes up off the ground, coming into the half splits, and your chin, forehead towards your leg. We roll forward again, coming back on that front foot. We're going to curl our back toes under, come into a low lunge here. Now remember, you can always keep that back knee down on the ground. And we're going to again bring our right hand to our hip and rotate open to that right side. Extending that arm, maybe you find more space with that knee lifted, looking up towards that top hand. Bringing that right hand down to the mat, lowering the back knee, and bringing the right knee back to return to the left. We're going to move twice through our cat and cow. As we return back to our center, we're going to walk that left foot forward, finding that low lunge with the knee down. Placing the right hand on the block or the ground, rotating open to the left. Again, using the hip for a stopping point for your hand, or maybe extending the arm up. Whichever is right for you today. And bringing your hands back to your mat. Sinking your hips back towards the heel of your back foot and bringing those front toes up. Coming back to that forward position. We're gonna curl our toes under, come into that lifted knee, low lunge. And returning to that rotation. The right hand on the ground, left hip, or left arm lifted to the sky. Try to look up at your top hand. Bringing that hand back down to the ground, lowering that knee, and returning to your hands and knees. Again, moving twice through your cat and cow. Coming back to your tabletop. We're going to rotate our body towards the left hand. We're going to come into side plank here. So we're going to take our left knee, keeping it on the ground. We're going to take our right foot back behind us, turning our left leg slightly to the side. Coming into our side plank here. We're going to take that top arm, we're going to extend it over our head, reaching towards the front of our mat. If you want a little bit more challenge, you can lift that lower leg, coming into like a half moon. And keep it on the ground here. Return the hand back to the mat. Bring the other leg back down. We're going to repeat the same thing on the other side. Opening up to the side wall and reaching that arm up overhead. Again, trying to balance if you want a little bit extra challenge. And rotating back towards the ground. Walk your hands forward slightly and come into your plank. Maybe your knees need to walk back a little bit. Lower down to your half plank, all the way down to your ground. Lifting up into your mini cobra and lowering down. Inhale to lift to mini cobra. Exhale to lower. Continue with that flow. 2 more big breaths here. And on this last big inhale, push up into your cobra. And hold. Press back into your hands and knees. Step your right foot up to your hands. Step your left foot up to your hands, coming into a forward fold. Bend your knees as much as you need to bring your chest towards your legs. And let's grab a hold of opposite elbows, creating a box around our head. Letting the weight of our head and upper body pull us down towards our legs, towards the mat. You can do a little rotation here as you sway side to side, or maybe staying still feels better. Listen to your body and do what it needs today. As we release our arms down towards the ground, we're going to lift up halfway, unfold, lift halfway, and fold. Sweep your arms up, reach up for the sky. And we're gonna do a micro back bend here. So reach your arms up, look up towards the sky. And on your exhale, bring your hands down to your heart. Big inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold. Lift up halfway. Exhale, fold. Placing your hands on your mat, step back to your plank. Lower your knees. Lower your body down towards your mat. And your inhale, lift up into your cobra. And exhale, take it back to your child's pose. Inhale, lift up to your tabletop and curl your toes under, coming up into your down dog. Now, this being our first down dog of the day, we want to make sure we take some time to settle into this. We're going to start by walking our feet in place, bending one knee and then the other, pressing the heel down towards the ground each time. That high inverted V, pressing the chest towards the mat and legs. Start to press your heels back towards the mat. Remember, they don't ever have to touch the mat. We're pressing them down towards the mat. And on our next inhale, we're gonna lift up on our toes and exhale to roll down through the feet. Inhale to lift, exhale to lower. Keep moving with your breath here. Start to walk your feet up towards your hands, coming back to that forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift, and fold. Reach your arms up, reach up high. Look up towards the ceiling and take that small back bend and bring your hands down to your heart. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold. Halfway lift and fold. Place your hands on your mat, step back to your plank. Lower your knees, lower yourself down to your mat, and inhale to raise up into your cobra. Exhale back to your hands and knees, all the way back to your down dog. Transfer your weight to your left foot and reach your right foot back behind you. Lower your right foot and extend your left foot back behind you. Keeping our hips pointed towards the floor. Bring your left foot down to your mat. Roll up on your toes, bend your knees, and walk your feet all the way back up to the front. Halfway lift and fold. Reach your arms up for the sky, reach up, reach back. And as you come back to standing, bring your arms down to your side, finding your mountain pose. Pull those shoulders back so they're in line with the spine. Stack your spine from your heels all the way up to the back of your head. Close your eyes or find a focal point. And we're going to take 5 deep breaths here. Big inhale, reach your arms up to the sky, and as you exhale, sink back into your chair. Keep your arms up by your ears, pull your shoulders away from your ears, and find a focal point on the floor in front of you, keeping your head in line with your spine. and forward fold. Halfway lift and fold. Reach your arms up for the sky. We're going to take a bend to the right and up, to the left and up. Reach back and up. Big inhale. On your exhale, sink back into our chair. We're going to bring our hands down to prayer this time. And take some deep breaths as you sink your hips back further in space. Raise your chest up just a little bit more. Engage through the entire legs. And forward fold. Halfway lift and fold. Reach your arms up for the sky. Take your arms to the right and up, to the left and up, back and up. Big inhale and sink back into your chair and forward fold. We're going to step back with the right foot, coming into that low lunge again. With our toes on the ground and our heel up off the ground. And start to walk your hands up your front leg, whether your hands come to your knee or whether you can raise them up towards the sky. We're going to engage that back leg, really lifting towards, with that back leg up off the mat. At the same time, pressing that hip forward onto the mat. Shoulders out of your ears. And bring your hands back to our mat. We're going to step that back foot in so we can come to a straight leg. Into that pyramid pose. Bending the front knee, we're going to take that back leg back again. Same leg. Coming back into that high lunge, up into that crescent lunge. I know it's a lot of balance today on that back foot. Lift that back heel up. It really helps keep that leg engaged. Bring the hands back to the mat. Step that back foot up halfway, coming to that forward pyramid fold. And step that leg all the way up to that forward fold. Halfway lift and fold. Reach your arms up and fold. Place your hands on the mat and step back with your left foot. Repeating the same sequence on the left side. Walking your hands up your legs. Coming into the crescent lunge on this side. Bringing our hands down to the front and stepping that back foot forward for that pyramid. Bending that front leg, taking that back foot back, coming back to that crescent lunge. Hands down to your mat, and one last time through the pyramid. Step your back foot to meet your forward foot, forward fold. You might be able to grab a hold of your big toes this time. Pull your chest towards your legs. Inhale, lift up halfway. Then fold. Reach your arms up for the sky. And bring your hands to your heart. We're going to turn sideways onto our mat. Stepping our feet out wide. We're going to be coming into a forward fold. And since we haven't done a lot of arms yet today, we're going to come into it with a bind with our arms. So grab a hold of your opposite wrists, maybe your opposite elbows. And as we fold forward, we're going to come into a flat back forward fold. Again, our hips are faced towards the side of our mat. Try to lift your arms maybe, a little bit more in the back. Your arms, and then start to release it down towards your mat. Coming to that full forward fold, the wide legs. You might find some deeper stretching by extending your legs out further to the sides. You might even be able to get your head towards the mat here. Maybe your forearms. We're going to start to shift our weight to the right, bending that right knee, and bringing it up and shifting the weight to the left. Using our breath again as our guide. Exhale to take it over. Inhale to come back to center. Exhale to the other side. As we come back to center, we're going to heel toe our feet in to our regular forward fold and slowly roll ourselves all the way up to standing. Rolling our shoulders back. Take a big inhale and exhale through your heart. Big inhale up and exhale those hands back down to the heart. All right, we're going to move into our balancing portion. So you always have the option to move to the wall if you need to do so. We're going to be working on Warrior 3. And we're going to be using the wall as support. So if everybody can turn to a wall, we're going to place our hands on the wall and walk our hands down so that our hips are parallel. Pressing into our hands, feet are underneath our hips. We're going to extend that right leg back behind us, pulling the toes in towards us, keeping that hip facing downward. Don't have a wall or don't need a wall, you can always come into the Warrior 3 right here. You're going to really focus on the lengthening of the spine here, pulling that heel away from those hands. And slowly bring it all the way back up. Take a big breath in. Exhale the hands down to the heart. And come into the other side. Taking hold of that wall. Bringing up the left leg back behind you. You might need a micro bend in that standing leg to give you a little bit more stability here. If you want to try to play with that balance, you can bring your hands to your heart. Focusing on lengthening from the heel up to the forehead. And slowly bring it all the way back up. Big inhale. And exhale down. If you have a strap, we're going to be moving into dancer now. So if you have a strap, we're going to take it around the inside of our right foot, bringing that right foot up towards us. Again, standing with that next to the wall, we're going to start to bring that foot up towards our hip. You can also do this with your hand, clasping that foot back behind you. You might need the strap for one side, not the other. Standing up tall, we're going to start to push the foot back, opening up through the front of the hip. We're not hinging it, we're just opening that hip. Feel the opening of the front of the hip as you press that foot back into your hand. And then start to hinge forward at the hips. You can extend that front arm out or keep it at the wall for support. And then pull that knee in towards the center of your body. Slowly raise all the way back up. Gently lowering the leg down. Big inhale. And exhale it down as you turn to do the other side. Bringing the foot up. Focusing first on the opening of the hip. Pressing that foot back into the hand. And then starting to hinge forward. And try that balance again. Pull that foot back into that hand. Pull that knee in towards the inner part of your body. Slowly raise back up. Setting the foot down. Big inhale. Exhale down. Big inhale. And forward fold. Halfway lift. And fold. Place your hands on your mat. Coming back to our plank. Lower our knees and lowering ourselves all the way down to our mat. We're going to release our hands back by our sides, keeping our forehead on our mat. On our next inhale, we're going to lift up into locust or Superman in some athletic classes. Big inhale, you lift your chest and legs, pulling back into the spine. Finding a neutral position for your head. Each inhale trying to lift just a little higher. Exhale, hold. And as we exhale, lower our ear to the mat. Taking it to one side. Slowing our breathing. Bringing our forehead back to our mat. Big inhale to lift. Exhale to lower to the other ear. Placing our hands on our mat and press back into our child's pose. Walking our hands up to our hands and knees. We're going to bring ourselves all the way up onto our knees. We're going to place our hands behind us in those high back pockets, supporting the spine. We're going to look in front of us. And as we start to lean back, starting to just look up towards the sky. Take our deep breaths, lengthen through the belly. Engage the glutes. Slowly bring it back up to seated. And rest back on your heels. Bring your hands to your heart. Inhale, lift up onto those knees again. Exhale your hands down to your back. And one more time, coming into the back bend. As we come out of camel again, sinking back to our heels and bringing our hands to our heart. We're going to bring ourselves all the way over onto our bottom in a seated position. We're going to do a little bit of ab work here. So as we come into that seated position, I want you to find that spot where you can balance. And come into boat here. I want to find that little shelf of our sits bones that we can balance on. And start to bring your legs up in front of you. Working either towards a tabletop, maybe you hold the back of your legs. Maybe you can release the hands down, pulling the knees in towards each other, extending through the spine. And bring your hands in, letting your legs down to rest. Big inhale, let it all out. And on your next inhale, lift again. One more time here. Find that focal point in front of you. Bring your hands to your legs and gently lower the legs down. We're going to lower ourselves all the way down to our back. And as we set ourselves up for our bridge today, if you have a block, take the block between your knees. If you don't have a block, you're just going to pull your knees inward as you lift. And as we take our big inhale, we're going to lift our hips up, working our shoulders underneath us. Maybe you can reach down and bind your hands, reaching towards your feet. Maybe 4 hands flat on the ground. Squeeze through the back of your legs, up through the glutes, pushing those knees in towards that block, looking straight up towards the sky. And gently lowering it back down to the ground, removing the block and taking your knees side to side. Coming back to center, either using the block again or not. Placing those feet back for that bridge. And again, lift up, trying to bring your shoulders just a little bit more underneath you this time. Lifting just a little higher. Pulling up through the belly. And gently lowering back down. Removing the block, and we're going to take our feet out to the sides of our mat and knock our knees into the center. Bringing our knees into our chest, we're going to rock and roll all the way up onto our hands and knees. We're going to bring our right leg forward, coming into our pigeon. We spend a lot of time working on the neutral rotation of our hips. Let's go ahead and get a nice deep hip stretch through both legs. Starting with an up position, we're gonna press that back hip down towards the mat, really focusing on the leveling of the hips, not letting one hip drop to the side. You can always put a block under the higher hip, and then starting to walk yourself forward into that fold. We start to come back up out of that. We're going to switch to the other side. Focusing first on the leveling of the hips, pressing that back hip towards the mat before you start to walk forward. As we start to bring it all the way up, we're going to come up to a seated position. Again, extending our legs out in front of us, moving all that extra sunshine or whatever else out from underneath us, reaching up and forward fold. All the way back up, we're going to lower ourselves down to our back. Keeping our right knee in towards our chest. We're going to extend the left leg. And we're going to take that right hip over to the left side, coming into a twist, reaching out towards the right. Bringing that knee back to center, extending it down, left knee into chest, twist to the right, look out over the left. Releasing the hand, bringing the legs back to center. I'm starting to let the leg fall down to your mat. You can move through any last movements you need before you can find your Savasana. But start to allow your body to relax on your mat. Starting at the feet, moving up through the knees, up through the hips, letting go of any tension. Settling the spine, relaxing your breath,
Releasing your shoulders, your elbows and your hands. Loosening your jaw and your neck. Softening your gaze. And relaxing your forehead. We're going to allow our breathing to return back to normal. But we're going to bring our focus to it. Internally watching that wave of air as it comes in and out of our body. Noticing how the breath helps you relax the different parts of your body. Letting you release and enjoy this moment of rest. start to awaken our body, I want you to awaken as if you do first thing in the morning. Slowly bring a movement to the small muscles before moving on to the larger muscles. Today is a new day, and just as we do every morning, we have the choice to make the decision to take care of ourselves. And you guys have made that decision by being here this morning. So as we start to reach our arms over our head, lengthening our body, I want you to bring yourself into this new day. Starting to take your legs side to side. Maybe bringing one knee into the chest and then the other. As we bring both knees into our chest, we're going to rock side to side here, massaging the spine. Before coming to rest on one side. Take one more moment here to reflect on what you've accomplished today in your practice, to set your intention for your day, to thank yourself for taking care of yourself and coming in for practice. As we slowly push ourselves up to seated, I'm going to keep our gaze soft, coming into a comfortable seated position. Taking it back to that deep breath, big inhale. Let it all out. Release all that tension you have left. Big inhale. Let everything go. And on your exhale, bring your hands to your heart. As you go through the rest of your day today, remember that you started it off taking care of yourself. And remember to keep that intention as you go through the rest of the day. Namaste.